Hi, sorry, I was like jamming out. I wasn't ready to go live yet. Hello, hello, everybody. Hi, come on in. There's like a really neat feature now that I have no idea how to use on Facebook at all. So maybe somebody can tell me how to use it. Maybe I can't on the computer. Hi, Vicky, are you seeing a poll on the screen anywhere? Like, does anybody see a poll on the screen at all? And I'll tell you why, okay? Because it gave me an option to create a poll that I wanted you guys to take. And I hit live and there's no way to publish the poll to you guys. So I feel like Facebook missed a fundamental piece of that feature. So I was curious if you guys are seeing the poll on your screen and I'm just not seeing it. So like, do you see a poll? Yes. Do you not see a poll? No. I would love to know. Yes or no. Do you see a poll? Do you not see a poll? Somebody tell me, right? Like a yes or no kind of like pick your answer poll, not like a fireman's poll. You know what I mean? Like, do you guys see it? Yes? No? I would love to know. They have new features right now on Facebook Live, and like this is brand new. So I'm seeing an event log. I'm seeing like, it's so weird. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff. It's saying that Facebook isn't even getting a signal from me. So, okay, so you guys don't see it. So Facebook has no idea what's happening, right? Because I'm getting like all of these notices. Facebook hasn't received your signal. Facebook doesn't know what's happening. Facebook's kind of clue. So anyway, I created this really neat poll, and here's the question. You guys can just verbally answer it. Do you love sales calls, right? And like the thing was like, do you love sales calls? Heck yeah, I can't get on the phone fast enough. Or like, you want me to use the phone to like talk to people vocally and then like ask them to buy something from me? Or like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Rita. I'm watching without audio, so I don't know what's going on. So like, if I asked you that question, or if I asked you that question, what is your answer? Do you love sales calls? Like, are you so excited you can't wait to get on the phone? Is it like I dread the phone? Is it, tell me how you feel about sales calls so I get an idea. And if you're watching on replay, please pipe in at this point and like tell me how you feel about sales calls. But I can't wait to hear, right? Because that's gonna determine a lot. But is it like, I love them? Like, how many of you are like that? I love sales calls. I can't get on the phone quick enough. They're like my favorite part of the day, right? So Vicky says, I don't. I don't call one-on-one meeting, right? Okay, so that's interesting, right? That's interesting. That's like another whole conversation for another whole day, the difference between doing calls and doing one-on-one. I highly, for many reasons that maybe I'll do a whole separate Facebook Live about this, but like, I highly advise doing your sales calls on the phone, right, and not in person, for a variety of reasons that we will get to on a future call. But like, in general, sales conversations, right, whether it's a call, a video, in person, do you love them? Do you not love them? Like Tiffany just said, she loves it when they're referral calls, but she doesn't like cold calls. So what about sales calls do you like? And here's my definition. I'm kind of curious now. This was kind of going in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like, what do you guys consider to be a sales call? I'm curious about your definition of a sales call. What do you, like, at what point are you having a sales call, right? Is it when you just start telling somebody about your products, or you start telling somebody about your service? Do you think that a sales call is when somebody says, hey, I would love to learn more about your business, and you just start talking about your business and what you do? When do you think you're actually on a sales call, right? Like, I really would love to know, at what point do you think you're on a sales call? So they're all stages, right? It's like, oh, hey, I just start telling somebody about me and what I do and what I sell. There's a, hey, somebody like asks about my business, and so then I respond about it. there's a, hey, somebody actually says, I would love to work with you. Like, I would love to work with you. How does it work? Right? So you schedule a call to like get together, and whether it's again, video, in person, whatever. And you say, oh, okay, like we're on the phone for the purpose of discussing this, right? When are you having a sales call? Right? Like we're talking literally about the call part, right? I mean, they're all pieces. There's like pre-sales, like they're up, but we're talking about, I want to know from you guys, when do you think you're on a sales call? Because like I will say, Tiffany, that my definition, right, is not yours. Like if I cold called somebody, to me, that's not a sales call. Okay. To me, that's me reaching out to like initiate a conversation, to tell somebody about my business for the purpose of making them aware that I exist, maybe for the purpose of learning more about them, right? But to me, that is not a sales call, right? That is like a outreach call. That is like a call for a different purpose, like to say, hey, I didn't know if you knew, but like this thing is in your neighborhood, or I am your friendly realtor and I'm just building awareness about me, right? My definition for this, guys, and I think that'll be important to grasp, because this is so fun. Like this is my favorite topic. Like I love sales calls. I did not used to love them, and I love talking about them, and I love whatever. But like my definition of sales calls is after someone has said, I want to learn more about what it would be like to work with you. Okay, so I want to know, how does that work? What would it look like? Am I a good fit for you? Like, can you help me with my problem? Like, I want to know what it's like, right, to work with you. And so you schedule a call. Now that can happen in a couple of ways, right? I mean, they could do just that. They could tell you in person, or they could email you out, right? And for anybody joining, just type in, do you love sales calls? Do you love them? Yes, no. And I'm just kind of giving my definition of what I'm saying they are for this, right? So it's when somebody has said that to you. Now that could come because they heard you speak and they come up to you and say, oh my gosh, I think I want to work with you. Like, I think you have to be my whatever, right? You have to be it. You have to be my person. Or they see something you post online, or they whatever, right? They come across information about you and they're like, I think I need you to be my thing. And I want to find out if that's right? If you can actually help me, and how much you cost, and like what it'll look like, and all of that stuff. So you schedule a sales call, right? It could be because you see somebody online posting about a challenge or a problem that they're having, and this isn't the right wording, but the concept is you say, hey, you know what? Like, I help my clients with that. I would love to talk to you and like see if I have any resources, or if there's anything that I can do to help you solve that problem. And they say, you know what, that would be great, right? So you schedule the call, right? Sales call. Are you guys seeing yes, no, like getting my definition of a call, right? It's not a cold call because the other person on the other end is not co-signed on for having a call about working with you. Okay, is that a better way to explain it? It's like both parties enter the call for the purpose of exploring your services, their challenges, if it's a match, what it would look like to work with you. Like both parties enter into the conversation with the expectation and knowledge that that is what is going to happen. Are we good with that definition? Because that's the definition that I'm using of a sales call. So like, do you love them? Do you not love them? Like, I kind of need to know like what the vibe of the audience is here with all the information. I mean, it's not really going to change what, let's be honest, it's not going to change what I tell you, but I'm just kind of curious, right? What you're feeling. But like, that's my definition of a sales call. And I think that that's also where people trip up and start getting frustrated, right? When like the call doesn't go anywhere and they're like, wow, I'm not converting my sales calls. But it's not that they're not converting their sales calls. It's that the call that they had wasn't actually a sales call. Okay? All right. Okay. So how do you fall in love? Like, how do you fall in love? It's a completely different video, right? But this I called, how do you fall in love with your sales call process, right? How do you fall in love with having sales calls, really? How do you fall in love with them so that you get more yeses and you have more fun on them, and you make more money, and you have more impact, right? And I shared an example yesterday. I don't know how many of you read the post that I shared yesterday, but I shared a story about me, right? And the story about me was about sales calls that I used to have long ago, and I gave an example. And the example illustrated how my sales calls used to go. So the example was, I remember I was transitioning from date coaching to business coaching. Now, this happened in my date coaching world too, but like I was transitioning from date coaching to business coaching, so it was new getting into business coaching. I've been date coaching for a while, and so this was still new. And this woman gets on the phone with me, and she's so frustrated because she created a group program. I don't know how many of you here sell group programs, but I'd love to know. But she had created a group program, and she was putting it out there to the world, and it was getting no sales. And she was like, look, like, here's the deal, right? Like I'm not getting any sales, and I want sales, and I don't understand why I'm not getting sales. And that's why I called you, right? That's why I set up this call, to see if you can help me as a business coach get more sales. And so I jumped in, right? I jumped into that call, and like I helped her. I gave her so much value. I was like, let's figure out who your target market is, and here's how you figure out your target market. And we got that done. It's like, okay, here's how you do market research, and here's why it's important. And then we even created her market research questions. Now, guys, my sales calls, which were called strategy sessions at the time, my sales calls were supposed to last about 30 minutes, right? 30 to 40 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. In reality, right, calls like that, where I'm helping people figure out their target market and get market research questions in order and educate them about market research and how to do it and what it is, were lasting like an hour and a half. Okay, so those calls were lasting like an hour and a half. And at the end of that call, I remember I was like, so, you know, I can continue to support you as you go through the market research, and let me tell you what that looks like, and I can help you with the marketing, and I like tweaking the course and all of that. What do you say, right? Would you like to work with me? And she was like, actually, Rita, like, I don't really think I'm ready for a coach quite yet. Like, I don't think I'm there yet, but like, this was life-changing, okay? This information is going to change everything about my business. I am so grateful for it. If and when I need a coach in the future, you are definitely the one that I am going to come to. Thank you so much for your time. This was so excellent. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Right? And I was like, this was not the only call to go like that week, right? And I remember just sitting there going, are you kidding me? Right? This was like the fourth or the fifth or whatever it was call that week, where somebody's like, you have changed my life. In this one call, you have fundamentally changed everything about my business. I finally see a future. I'm so excited. And I don't want to work with you. Thank you. Goodbye. How many of you have had calls like that, where you pour a lot of value and a lot of information into the call, and you know it, like you're like, man, I am good at this, and I am like giving them really valuable information, and they are feeling it, and they are like loving the information. And then you get to the, do you want to work with me part, and they're like, actually not now, but this was so good, thank you. Like, tell me, like, put it in the comments, how many of you have had calls like that? Like, I would love to know. I want to know. You know, like, I need to know. How many of you have had sales calls like that? Yes? No? Nobody's wanting to like admit it like I did, right? That's the way my calls went, right? I would pour a lot of value into the calls. Some people even have, like, I don't know how many of you are coaches, but a lot of people have coaching calls, like sample coaching calls, or they call them, I forget what they call them, right? Like some kind of call, like a sample coaching call or something. Right? And the purpose is like, I'm actually coaching you on the call. So if you're a coach out there, so Mandy says, yep, I've had calls like that. How many of you what do you do? That's a better question for me. Like, type in the chat, and if you're on replay, type it so I know who was watching this, and I can come back and add any information that I think I need to. Like, are you a coach? Are you a real estate agent? Do you sell a product? Like, are you a social media manager or virtual assistant? Or like, what's your industry? What do you do? I would love to know. Type it in the comments so I know like what kinds of professions I have here. And for this, like, this works for product-based people too. Okay. My examples are going to be from like a service-based kind of business, but this equally works for product-based businesses as well. So I would love to know if you can type in right while I'm talking, like what you do. That would be very helpful and help me a lot. But like, I remember feeling so exhausted. Like, gosh, you know, I keep having these calls and I keep pouring. So we have an online personal trainer. We have a Virginia realtor. We have a marketing strategist. Okay. So a lot of kind of service-based people here, and product people. I promise, if you're watching, this applies to you as well. But like, how many of you then have been where I've been and felt like exhausted, right? You give this great information, you give this great advice, you give this great value, you're pouring your all into the sales call. They admit that it was amazing information, and then they say, thank you, no thank you, but I'll let you know, right, when I'm ready, and they hang up. And so I was super exhausted because that was like the train, right, that I had been riding for a while with my calls. And my coach at the time had talked to me right after, and she was like, how did it go? And I was like, look, I am ready to charge for my consultations. Okay. I think I need to charge because I am tired of looky-loos. I'm tired of people who want to get on the phone with me and they just want free information and then they don't work with me. So I think to eliminate those people, right, I need to add a charge to my consultation. I need to add a charge to what I was calling a strategy session at the time, right? And so we ended up having a conversation around that. And it was eye-opening and it changed everything, which is what I'm sharing with you. But how many of you have felt like that? How many of you have felt like, if I get one more looky-loo just getting on the phone with me, trying to get free information and trying to peek around, like I am just going to lose it, right? How many of you do have a charge associated with just a consultation or a discovery call or a clarity call or whatever you call that initial call? How many of you have a charge? How many of you do it for free? How many of you had that moment where you were doing it for free and you added a charge, right? Like, how many of you have felt like you're getting looky-loos and that people are just like calling in to get as much free information as they can? Like, share a little bit about that with me in the comments, please. Like, obviously, like today, the more feedback I get from you guys, the more I'm going to be able to speak to specific situations. But I would love to know, like, how many of you have felt like that? Like I'm done with looky-loos and people trying to get free information, so I'm putting a price on my sales calls. If you want to talk to me about working with me, you're going to pay me money for my time, right? Or you felt like maybe you are a coach who's doing those like free coaching calls as your sales call, and you're like, hey, like I can't do that for free anymore. I got to put money on it because again, I'm not getting hired. So yes, no, like let me know, or yes, no, maybe so, let me know. So that's where my mind was going. And I was so glad, excuse me guys, sorry, my allergies are so bad. And that's why I'm drinking too, like caffeine-free Diet Coke, also like known as what's the point, right? But whatever, it makes me feel like I'm getting caffeine, even though I'm not. Tiffany said, I took 30 minutes to walk through a guy's house and tell him how to get it ready to sell. And then he refused to sign a listing contract because he thought I was too expensive, right? So you, Tiffany, kind of did the equivalent of what I was doing on that call. You went through and told him everything he needed to do to get that house ready to sell, right? So you're like, oh, I just gave all this information away and I didn't get hired. That sucks, right? I mean, it doesn't feel good, right? I get it because I was there. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was ready to put prices on my sales calls. Like, I was going to make you pay to have a sales call with me, which is ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you why it's ridiculous. But like, to me, it's ridiculous, right? It makes sense when you're actually not having sales calls. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. But like, that's where I was. And so I had this conversation with my coach at the time, life-changing, eye-opening, right? And I was realizing that here I was thinking that I had a sales call problem, that I was getting looky-loos, that I was getting people who weren't interested in paying, that I was getting people who only wanted free information, right? So I needed to fix my sales call problem. And the way to fix my sales call problem was attaching a fee to only bring in truly interested people who are interested in working with me, right? that would not have actually solved my problem. Like putting a fee on my clarity call, or my, like I call it a clarity call now. I called it a strategy session then. We'll get into that too. But we'll call it a consultation, okay, to be uniform across all industries. Putting a fee to my consultation was not going to solve my problem, because my problem wasn't caused by not having a fee, right? Because my problem was not a sales call problem. My problem was a value problem, okay? My problem was that I was trying to show the person on the phone that I was valuable, that I was an expert, that I knew what I was talking about, that I was a good coach, that they needed to hire me, right? That's why, like it wasn't happening consciously, right? But that's why on the call I gave as an example, I was answering everything. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally see why you're not selling that class, right? And like, let's dig into it. Let's talk about your target market and let's educate you on market research. And in fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and set up your market research questions, right? And they were lit up. I mean, they're like, wow, I see this and I see the market research and I see how it's going to change everything. And I see where I fell down and I see like what I didn't do. And like, wow, thank you. I'm not going to work with you, but like when I'm ready for it, I'll come back to you, right? But like, thank you so much. The reason I was giving all of that value is to show them that I knew what I was talking about, right? Like I wanted them to know I knew my stuff, right? I knew my shit, right? Like, and that's what I was basically doing, right? Like I'm an expert, but the reason I was doing that is because remember, this was right as I was transitioning from dating coach to business coach. Now, I had been a business attorney for 13 years, right? I was a business attorney for 13 years before I got into date coaching. And then my date coaching practice actually was successful very quickly that's another whole Facebook Live. But like, then I was transitioning into something new. So I was feeling brand new again. I was feeling a little impostery. I was feeling like maybe I wasn't really like a great coach. It was all the stuff going on inside of me that I was trying to then bring out to show that person, showcase that person that I was good. So the problem was I was trying to sell me on the call. I wasn't really trying to sell my service, right? I wasn't even really having a sales call, guys, and we're going to get into that, right? So how many of you feel like that? How many of you have ever felt like that in a sales conversation or of any kind, video, call, whatever, that you at some point have found, even if you're just finding out about it by looking back at it retroactively, that you realize you were selling yourself and not the product and not the service, right? You were selling how you knew that this was right for them and how you knew and everything about like it, and you were trying to prove it by like helping them solve problems right there on the call so that they would be like, gosh, wow, this girl really does know everything about what I need, and so I'm gonna work with her. Yes? No? I know I'm not the only one. I know it because I talk to people day in and day out where when they call me thinking that they're having a sales call problem and they want to talk about their sales call, or they call me to say, should I add a fee? Should I add a consultation fee, right? And I dig into it, I realize they're not actually having sales calls. They're having calls where they're trying to sell themselves, right? And because they're having these calls where they're trying to sell themselves and not what they do, right? It's like no wonder that it feels terrible, right? Because basically I'm doing a big old tap dance, right? That whole call that I gave as an example, I was just tap dancing on the stage, like, look at me, I'm doing a show, not like a fake show, not a magic show, right? A real authentic reality show that's not scripted, right? Like really, like it's me, but look at me, so it's exhausting, right? Isn't that exhausting? Like 45 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, whatever, of just like trying to prove your worth, your value. So I was exhausted, right? Which is why I was so frustrated when everything was turning into a no. But also, here's what was really happening. The more that I had to say how valuable I was, or the more I was proving it through answering questions and giving information and digging into problems on the sales call and helping them solve their problems, the more they were doubting it, right? Because here's the way it looks. It's kind of like, they weren't doubting it until suddenly they felt like maybe it was something that should be doubted, because I was working so hard, right, to prove that I was good, that maybe, right, like they should actually doubt that I was good. Otherwise, why would I be working so hard to prove it, right? So again, that wasn't happening consciously for them. I always think the subconscious is back here. I don't know where I'm like, the subconscious right down here, right? But like that was happening subconsciously to them. So the more I was like, I know it, like, here, let me dig in, let me solve your problems. What was happening without them realizing it is they were actually doubting my expertise more. They were actually doubting my authority more. They were actually doubting my value more, right? So again, like I say, like Marjorie said, look, you lose a bound. That, yes, so they want to prove you know what you're talking about, right? Marjorie, the look how smart I am. But yes, you guys are all being so quiet, right? Except Marjorie. So thank you, Marjorie. And Tiffany too. But like, how many of you have had calls like that? Yes, no. How many of you felt like you spent the whole call trying to prove that you were good at what you do, that you know what you're talking about, and that you're an expert and you're good at what you do, right? Because that's the number one mistake that people make on their sales calls that are ruining their sales calls, right? You are not selling yourself on this call. You are selling a service. You might be selling a product, right? But you're not selling yourself. And in fact, if you try to sell yourself, what's going to happen is the opposite, right? The person is actually going to start doubting your value whenever they never even thought about that, right? Vicky's like, yes, I've done that. Brika's like, look, I have done the 45-minute calls to 1.5-hour calls, right? Like, totally with you, right? Here's the thing, right? Like, charging for a call was not going to take away the fact that I was selling myself and not selling what I was doing, right? Not to mention that charging for a call just didn't feel right to me. Like, it was a sales call, which we're going to get into. So why would I charge for a sales call, right? So at any rate, it was a value problem. It wasn't a sales call problem. It was me doubting my value, right? So I was doing that whole big show thing. I saw this with dating. I saw this with dating clients a lot. So dating clients would always come to me and say, oh, Brika's like, but recently shifted as in today. Okay, good. Good. And hopefully like this call is going to help you shift, right? Hopefully this is going to help you shift even more, because I'm going to give you more practical information about what you do to love the sales call process, right? But I would see this in my deep coaching clients. They would be like, oh God, I hate dating. I hate speed dating. I hate dating. I hate it. And I'd be like, why? Like, why do you hate dating? All I do is talk about myself. All I do is talk about myself, right? Just blah, 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 blah. Here I am. This is who I am. And this is what I do. And this is where I work. And I just like the dates, it's just going nowhere, right? Especially speed dating. I'd be like, I'm just saying the same thing over and over and over again every 2 minutes to like 11 different guys. It's exhausting, right? And I would say to them, why are you talking about you? Why are you talking about yourself? You know everything there is to know about you. You're not trying to go home with you. You're a done deal, right? You're going home with yourself tonight, right? Like that's locked, sealed, delivered, right? Like that's happening, right? That's happening. So, right? Like, why are you talking about yourself so much? Let them ask some questions about them. Find out about them, and then it won't be so exhausting, right? As a lawyer, even. I remember going to this big training with this marketing company a long time ago. I mean, this was back in like 2001, 2002. And this company said, look at your website. Because we were all like, I was a solo attorney, but in a bigger firm. So I wasn't just a lawyer, like getting a salary in a law firm. We were all independent lawyers that happened to share a space. And therefore I was still an entrepreneur. I was getting my own clients. I was building my own law firm practice. And we had this trainer come in about marketing and sales. And he was like, pull up your website. And I want you to look at the about page and the services page and all these pages. And I want you to count how many times you use the word I or we or our, right? Like our office, we do this, our team, I, me, right? He's like, because those should be few and far between. The words on your website should be you. You're feeling like this. You're tired of this. You're struggling with this. You're upset about that. You want this. This is what you envision. This is the thing that you're after, and we can help you do it, right? Well, that's what's happening in the date coaching example I gave you, right? It's like, me, this is what I do, which is the same as the sales call example that I gave you, right? For people who are popping in, which is like, so here's how I can solve all your problems, right? I might not be saying me, I, but I am like doing it through giving you answers. Like, we're going to solve your target market problem now. In fact, let me give you so much information right now, like to prove to you that I'm a good coach and to prove to you that I'm good at what I do, right? And that's exhausting, right? It's just so exhausting. But why do we do it, right? Why do we do it? So I gave 1.1, which is like, we usually do that when we're not actually convinced of our value. When we're not convinced of our value, then we don't think other people will see our value. And when we don't think other people will see our value, we have to prove it to them. We have to show them that we're an expert. And what better way to show them than using the sales call to actually solve a problem, to actually dive in, to give them answers, to let them experience something and have them go, oh, I see. I didn't think that Verika was valuable before, but now that she told me about my target market, I think she's valuable. And so I think I'm going to hire her, right? Like, that's what we're doing, right? Because we don't feel it. We don't think it. We think we have to prove it. Hence the whole tap dance, right? Hence, it's not a sales call problem. It's a value problem. You aren't seeing your value, and that's translating into how you're treating the call, right? It's also very problematic, as like a side note, to actually start solving people's problems on a call. How many of you do that now at some point in whatever your sales call process is? Just be honest. Like, somebody will say, I'm struggling with this, and you start giving them the answer. Or they're like, I'm challenged with this, or the problem is, or I think I just need to figure out how to do this. And you just dive in because you know the answer. You want to show them that you know the answer, and you really do. You genuinely feel like, I'm helping them. They're struggling with this problem, Rita. Why wouldn't I give them this information for free that could take away their problem? Right? So how many of you feel like that, or you do that? Yes? No? At some point that you're doing that in your sales calls? Oh yeah, so Jackie said, once I believed in me, it shifted. I love this. Oh good, I'm glad. Right? How many of you though at some point did that, right? Here's like the side note problem with that. Opening up a problem is like opening up Pandora's box, right? Like, I don't care how small the problem seems. It's never just that problem, right? There's always more to it. So like, when you open up the problem, I think my coach once, the coach I'm talking about that had the life-changing conversation with me about this, was like, if you open up a problem, right? Like, it's like surgery. You've opened somebody up and you might not be able to put it all back together, right? So you're just going to leave them like open, and they're going to think, oh, I'm good, but they're like walking around with their organs hanging out, right? Tiffany says, not really. I treat my calls more as an interview, and I say I have a strategy for that. You say that, Tiffany. I'm glad, right? But in the example you just gave, you went around that guy's house and you told him everything that he needed to do to get his house on the market. That's valuable information, right? He had a problem. He needed to know how to get his house ready and how to sell it and put it on the market. And not only did you just walk around and say, yep, this is a house that I can definitely help you do that with, you actually told him how to do it, right? So in the example you gave, it was very similar to that. So like Marjorie's like, I might say, have you considered, or tell a story? And so it's the same thing, right? It might not be diving right in and saying, but you're saying, hey, you know what would help you, right, sell this program? You need to figure out your target market. And here's how I once helped a client figure out a target market, right? And oh, hey, like, here's like what I did once to whatever. So you're still like doing it indirectly, right? You're still saying, here's what I did to help somebody, and I'm showing you that I know what I'm doing through using the story as an illustration, right? So kind of the same thing. And I saw somebody say, yes, every question leads to 5 other questions, right? So what happens is a sales call of like 30 to 45 minutes is not enough time to like actually solve somebody's problem, right? That's why they need coaching, or they need your bigger service, or they need the product, or they need whatever, right? They're not gonna solve the problem. It's usually other problems. It's not even the problem they bring up, right? I used to work at Container Store in another world a long time ago. And they had the best sales training, I'm not gonna lie. Container Store had the best sales training of any company I've ever been to. And like, they talked about man in the desert selling, and how somebody will come in and say that they need a clear shoebox. But really, if you were to ask all these questions, you would find out they don't really need a clear shoebox. What they need is a whole new closet, right? If you just send them home with a clear shoebox, it's not actually going to solve their problem. Their problem wasn't that they didn't have boxes for their shoes, or that it's that they weren't utilizing their space efficiently, or they had no organization system, or whatever, right? So you have to ask all these questions. Well, on a sales call, that's not the right time for all of that necessarily, in terms of solving them, giving them the solutions, because you're going to bring up one and think, okay, we solved that. And you're either not really going to have solved it. They're going to feel like you did, right? But you really didn't, right? So that just opens up a whole box of worms, can of worms, and they're going to go home thinking everything's good, and then all this stuff's going to happen. And you're not there, right? Because they didn't hire you to like help you fix it. Or they're actually going to feel like you were so comprehensive and you gave them everything. Why do they need to hire you, right? Hey, Rita, you just told me all about my ideal client and my target market, and you helped me with market research, and you even helped me draft my market research questions. Wow, I thought I was going to need to hire you, but I don't, right? I don't need to hire you because I'm good. Like, I'm going to go run with this market research stuff and see what pans out there. Thank you so much, right? So the reason that we're doing this, that we're pouring all this value into our calls, is because we don't see our own value. And when we don't see our own value, we're trying to prove it, right? We're trying to prove it by saying, I know what I'm talking about. I'm good at it. Let me show you how good I am. And let me show you like that I know what I'm doing. And let me prove it to you through my education and my knowledge and the advice that I'm giving and the information I'm giving and the client testimonials and the client case studies and I'm proving to you my value. I'm proving to you I'm good. I'm proving to you my worth, right? But that's not a sales call. Right? A sales call is two people coming together to see if they're a good fit to work together, right? That's what a sales call is. Are we a good fit? Can you, like, pretend this is the client, the potential client, and this is you, right? I wish I had puppets. Now I wish I had puppets. But pretend that this is the client and pretend that this is you, okay? And it's the client's like, oh, hey, I have these problems and I think you might be able to solve them. Oh, maybe let me find out all about your problems, and then I will let you know if I actually solve those problems. And let me hear all about the things you want to achieve, so I know if I'm the right person to help you achieve them. Oh, okay, cool. Like, is this the worst puppet show ever? Like, is this the worst? Oh, okay. I get. Okay, let's see, right? Let's talk about it, right? That's a sales call, right? People, when you're exploring sales, there's a phrase, right, that you hear, and it's true. The reason you hear this phrase a lot is because it's true. People buy with their emotions and they justify with logic, right? People buy with their emotions and justify it with logic. People aren't like, oh, you know, like going online to search for a ticket for an airplane, maybe a trip to Hawaii, and they go and they're searching ticket to Hawaii, and then a ticket pops up. It's the only ticket to Hawaii, and it's $10,000. And they're like, well, it is a blank, blank, blank plane with a blank, blank, blank engine and a, you know, orange carpet and a guy that rubs my feet and free booze the whole way or whatever. So I think I will pay the $10,000, and boy, am I so glad, because I'm burned out and I need to get to Hawaii, right? It's like they go search for Hawaii because they're burned out, and then they see an ad for Hawaii. It's like, Hawaii, are you burned out? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Hawaii, right? Like, come experience us. Like, click here. So they click because, God, they're burned out. And boy, does Hawaii sound nice. And so then they click on the ad and it pops up the ticket price, $10,000, right? And they're like, they've already made the decision to buy the ticket, really, and go to Hawaii from an emotional based place. I'm burned out. This ad just said it would take care of my burnout. It connected with me emotionally. So I've decided, that's why I'm clicking to find out the price. I'm in, right? So then they see the price, $10,000. And they're like, oh, gosh, like it's $10,000, right? Then they start justifying that decision with logic. But it's this kind of plane with this kind of engine, and it has this kind of carpet and a guy that rubs my feet and the food and the water and the music and the whatever. So I'm going to pay for it, right? So people buy with their emotions. If you're having a sales call, that means you have to like connect with that person, right? Emotionally, meaning you can't be talking about you. It's all about them, right? Just like I told my dating clients in the example. Are you guys with me? Yes, no, following? How are we feeling? Is this good stuff? Are you like, oh, I'm so terrified. I don't know how to ask questions about people. Like, give me some feedback, right? But like, so, right, it's about them. Because really, when I said it's a sales call, remember, a sales call is when two people come together knowing what the purpose of the call is, knowing that they're discussing whether they would be a good fit to work together, right? Whether they're a good fit. And that for you to be able to determine if somebody is a good fit, you have to know what are your challenges, what are your struggles, what are you wanting, what is your vision, what kind of support are you wanting to receive, what stopped you from having these things before, right? So that you can determine, is my service, is my product the right fit to help them? Am I the right fit if I'm a service provider to help them? Is this something I can help them with? Is the challenge something I can help them overcome? Are the results something that I can help them achieve, right? Like, it is what stopped them before something I can help them navigate around? Is this something I can help them with? You're just listening to them and evaluating that, right? So this person, the potential client, comes to the call with one main goal. Do you guys know what that main goal is that the potential client comes to the call with? Anybody at all? How many of you are still here with me? I'm wondering, right? But do you know what the potential client comes to the call with? And if you're watching on replay, you can answer as well, right? The potential client, the reason that they've scheduled this sales call with you is because they're wanting somebody to hear them. They're wanting somebody to hear what they're going through, to know what they're going through, to see their problems, to connect with the results that they want, right? To understand them. They're wanting to be seen, heard, and understood. That's what the potential client is wanting. I just want you to see me, hear me, understand me, right? And like, let me know that you see me, hear me, and understand me. And then I want to know if you're able to help me, right? Like, if that's the right fit. But like, at the core thing is, do you see, I want to be seen, heard, and understood. That's what I want my potential person that I'm going to hire to do for me, right? Do you see me, hear me, and understand me? So your job, right? Your job on the sales call is to do that, is to see them, is to hear them, is to let them know that you see and hear them and you understand them. The way you do that is by them talking and you listening. You might ask a few questions, right, to guide the conversation. Now I have a whole sales call thing that I do with my clients, right? Like pre-sales stuff, how to set up the sales call, everything that you can do to help people come to the call prepared, what you can do, right? But really, and what questions you would ask to help facilitate this discussion. That's too big for today, right? But I just want you guys to grasp the core concept, which is like, that's what you're doing. You're asking questions about their challenges, their struggles, what they want to have be different, right? Like what those results would be in their life if it was different, what support they're wanting, what support they think they need, how they work best, about their business, their goals, right? Their ambition. Like you're learning about them, you're talking about them. Okay, you guys good with that? Thumbs up, yes, no, right? You're letting them see what's possible. You're letting them talk all about this. And then you're seeing if it's a good fit. It's mutual. Both people are determining if it's a good fit, right? I really need puppets for this one in the future. I really do. I really need puppets for this one. So I feel like I wish I had like I don't know, like little like figurines. I have like a little Wonder Woman thing, but that won't work. So anyway, the potential client, ridiculous. The potential client is like, maybe if I start using puppets, what do you guys think? If I start using puppets, people will like hop into the Facebook Live being like, what is she doing? But the potential client is seeing, do I like Rita? Do I know her? Like, do I feel like Rita's a good fit? Like, did I feel, and the way they're evaluating that is, did she see me? Did she hear me? Did she understand me? Do I feel confident that Rita knows what I'm going through, that Rita is clear on what I want to achieve, and that she understands me and my business and my goals? That's how that prospective client is evaluating whether you're a good fit for them. Okay, are we good with that? Yes, yes, no? Like, how are we feeling? quiet audience today, guys. Quiet audience today. Yes, like that. Do you get what the prospective client is wanting from a sales interaction with you? They don't need you to solve their problems on the sales call. They don't need you to prove that you're an expert at what you do on the sales call. What they need you to do is let them know. They need to feel like you saw them, you heard them, and you understand them. Yes? Like, are we? I feel like Bueller, right? Like, but that's what they're wanting. We often forget that we are also evaluating if that person is a good fit for us, right? So people who like enter the sales call and they're just talking about them, like I had someone say in response, right, to one of the questions I asked, they're like, oh, my sales calls, yeah, I get on the phone and I let them know everything that I can do to solve their problem, and then I let them decide whether they're going to work with me or not. Right now, that's so normal. That's what people say a lot. Like, I just tell them how I can solve their problems. I tell them everything about me that they need to know and that I have the solution to their problem. And then I let them decide if working with me is right for them or not. Right? And it's like, whoa, that's missing a big piece, right? First of all, you shouldn't be talking about you, right? Second of all, it's a mutual decision, right? When you're just like selling, like I've already determined that this person, no matter what, is going to be my client, is going to be my whatever. So I'm just going to do all the talking so that they will decide if they like me and want to hire me, right? You're neglecting to do the same thing. Do I like this person? Are they a good fit for me? Do I want to hire them? Like, do I want to work with them? I would see that in my dating clients all the time, right? Women would come home from these dates and they would start debriefing them with me on our calls, and they would go, inevitably, they would go, I hope he thought I wonder if he liked me. I wonder if he thought I was funny. I wonder if he thought I was pretty. I wonder if he's going to call me again, right? I wonder if he's thinking about me. I wonder if he's thinking about wanting to go on a second date with me. I wonder what he is thinking about me, my appearance, everything, right? How many of you like wondered that about a call, right? On a call or after a call or whatever, right? It's like, how many of you have thought that like before? Like, oh, I wonder if they like me. I hope they liked me. I wonder if they're going to hire me again, blah, 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 right? Well, with my date coaching clients, I would say, hold up. Those are the questions you should be asking yourself right after a date, right? You need to be saying, how did I feel about myself on the date? Did I feel safe? Did I feel heard? Did I feel respected? Did I feel good about myself? Did I feel lifted up? Did I feel energized? How did I feel? Do I feel like this is going to be like a good fit, right? For you to know if this prospective client is a good fit, they have to do all the talking, right? They have to do all the talking. And then you're going to know like, wow, like I feel like they light me up. I feel their personality. I'm getting in touch with their values. I get their belief system. You are asking questions to facilitate that conversation, but that's the equivalent, right? So this person walks away saying, I feel seen, heard, and understood. And then you're like, okay, like I've got the information to know this is also a good client for me, right? This is a good fit client for me. And so it's not a done deal, right? You can't treat the sales call like it's a done deal. If they say yes, it's a done deal, like it's a mutual thing, right? So Marjorie says, so then what? You have to transition to here's what I do. You do, but you don't. And here's what I mean, right? So let me take that example of that the first example I gave, right? The call that went bad so long ago, right? Let's pretend that woman called me today. I would have her tell me all about her business, her goals, the challenges that she's having, right? The outcomes, the results that she wants, how those outcomes would like ripple effect and improve her life and her business. I would have her tell me like what's held her up in the past, what's kept her from achieving these things, where does she feel like she can't achieve them on her own, what support does she need to make that happen, right? And then I'm just gonna like let her know I get it, right? Like I hear it, that's a big problem, right? Having a group course and putting all of that information out and putting your heart and your soul and your energy into a program that you know will change lives, and then putting it out to the market and not getting sales, that is frustrating. That can be like paralyzing, right? And I get it. it like makes you feel like maybe you should throw in the towel. And I understand, right? Like what has kept you from like moving forward on this, right? You've been scared to ask if people like I'm just repeating everything that she said to let her know I understand it, right? Like I get what your challenge is. I get what you want the results to be. I get where the chaos is. I get where the confusion is. And I get that you really want somebody to be there to help you see, how can I market it better? What am I doing wrong to connect with my audience? How can I improve it to reach these results, right? And that's exactly, so then this is the part where, remember in the website, I said, you talk about you, like your pain, like you're frustrated, you're feeling like this. And then at the end I can say, and our office helps you too. That's what happens here. After like, I let them know, I heard them, I see them, I understand them. That's when I can confirm if this is true. I would not say this if this was not true, but like, yes, like I get it. And that's what I help my clients with, right? I help my clients take group coaching courses, right? And figure out the disconnect and fill in the gaps so that they're giving a valuable resource to their audience, a resource that their audience is eager and ready to buy. I feel really confident in my ability to help you do that. I have helped clients in the past do that. I know the steps to that. And one of the first things that we're gonna do in our coaching together, Marjorie, right, is we're gonna get to the root of all of the different areas where this might be happening, right? But I can absolutely say that I feel confident in my ability to help you get through this so that you're getting results with a product and a program that will really resonate with people so you can have the impact that you want, right? What does that sound like? How does that feel to you? Is that something that you'd like to have? Would you like to work with me as your coach? Would you like to move forward to get that result? Right? Like, there you go. Right? That's it. Would you like to move forward? Now, Marjorie, this might be where they are like, I think I do, right? This is great. But like, I have questions. How does it work? Right? What's the cost? How does it work? At that point, right? Now I'm just explaining some logistics, right? Now I'm explaining like, okay, here's how I work with clients, right? Like, this is the thing. And I even have a note about this in here where this is also the point of a conversation where a lot of people like give too much information. So we've already talked about the beginning and why people are giving all the answers and all the value and all the whatever, right? But then at the end, they're also like, so if the person's like, I do think I want to work with you, Marjorie. Yes, I think I want to work with you, right? Then it might be that you're like, okay, well, here's how I work with people. I have a group coaching program and private coaching. I also do an online program. I do have these courses as well, right? And I have this package or that package, right? So what do you say? What are you thinking? Right? That person is now confused, right? They came to you as an expert. So as an expert, you need to make a recommendation for what they need, right? Again, letting them know that you saw them and that you heard them. So it's like Marjorie, right? Marjorie, I totally get it, right? Like blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yes. So we went through the whole sales call thing. Yes, Rita, like I think I want to work with you, but how does it work? Okay, well, after hearing what you said, Margie, and hearing about what you need, right? These were the results that you wanted, and this is the challenge you're having, and here's the kind of support you said you need. I really think private coaching is going to be the right fit for you, and here's why, right? Private coaching is going to be the right fit for you because, right, you want that individual attention. We're going to need to focus on this. We're going to be like piecing this together, right? And so I recommend to you, right, my 6-month private coaching package. And here's how that works. And here's how this is going to get you to those solutions that you told me about. And the investment for that is this much money, right? So I think that that's going to be the best fit to get you those goals so that you can be selling that program. And then I restate all the ripple effect, all the wonderful things that they like. So what do you say, Margie? Are you ready? Like, is this something you want to move forward with? I would be really excited to support you. And I'm really excited for what can happen for your group coaching program, right? That's it, right? Again, what I haven't done is like tech dance and try to show through solving problems and giving all of that information, right? That's why some people get really frustrated that like, oh, like I'm just having a look. I did a whole design for them and then I handed them the design and they just took it and didn't hire me. So I'm gonna start charging for my consultations. No, don't do the design, right? It's just a sales consultation. It's like, I'm trying to see, are your problems like things I can solve? You're trying to see, am I a good fit for you? And I'm trying to see, are you a good fit for me based on things that have really nothing to do with like my service, right? I'm just trying to figure out your values and your morals and how you work and your beliefs. And I'm hearing your challenges and what you want to say, yes, I'm the right person to make that result happen for you. And would you like to move forward with me? Boom. Yes. Good. Okay. Like, here's how it works, right? Like, here's what you need to do. You need to put this payment down, and then I'm going to do a design, and then blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing with coaches, right? So like, or any service provider. So it's like, it's not my job to open up their wounds. It's not my job to solve their problems. It's not my job to do that on a sales call. It's my job to do that in the coaching relationship or once I've been hired, right? But on a sales call, my job is to hear them, see them, and understand them. And then based on the information that I gathered, let them know if I think that I am somebody who can help them with everything that they said, after evaluating if I think that person is a good fit for me, because I should not make the offer to work with them if I don't think that they're a good fit for me. It's got to be a mutual decision. Okay, are we good with that piece, guys? Right? Like, are we good with that piece? Yes? No? You guys are being super quiet today. It's making me really nervous. Okay, so then, right, you're letting them know, like I said, so that's a transition, Marjorie. Hopefully you heard that. That's a transition, right? From like having that conversation and reaffirming and acknowledging and saying, I hear you, I see you, I understand you. And based on this information you gave me, I am confident that I am the right solution for what you're wanting to achieve, right? I've helped clients with this before. I have dealt with these challenges before, right? I feel really confident in my ability to help you achieve these specific results. And I heard what you said blocks you and keeps you from moving forward. And like, I feel like I would be the right person to help you navigate around those blocks so that you can achieve this ultimate result, right? So what do you say? Would you like to work with me? Would you like to move forward with me as your coach, right? Would you like to do that? To which they may say, like Marjorie said, well, how does it work? And well, let me tell you, right? Like, and here's what I recommend. I'm picking one of my things and making a recommendation as an expert to you. And this is why, because I heard you, I saw you, I understood what you're wanting. And so this is what I'm referring to you as a way to make that happen, right? And so then it's like, and here's the investment for it, right? So that you achieve all of these amazing results and you have this like hopping and firing on all cylinders. So how does that sound? What do you say? Like, I am excited to work with you. I think I could really support you. I know I can really support you. Would you like to work with me? Right? And now we're not getting into objections. They might say, I want to for the money, or I want to. Objections are for like another day, right? I have to talk to my husband, like all of that, right? Those are all very valid. This is the main core part. And I want to make sure that you guys are grasping this, because it's a very different way than what people are doing on their sales calls, right? People are getting on the sales calls and say, here I am, here's what I do, here's my credentials, here's what I help people achieve, like here's everything that I know how to do, and I was educated here, and I have these skills, and I've done all these things, and look at my work, right? Let me show you all my work, and let me show you like that I know like how to show you who a target market is by, let's just solve your target market right here on the call, and like let's just get into market. I'm going to tell you what can solve your problem. I'm going to solve your problem right now, because if I solve your problem now, of course you're going to be like, yes, I need you, I want you, right? And so like that's the key, right? It's realizing the sales call is not about me. The sales call is about connecting with the person who wants to potentially work with me. And the way I connect with them is by letting them be seen, heard, and understood, and letting them know that I did that I saw them, I heard them, and I understand them. And then giving them, right, like if they're a good fit for me as well, because that's also what's happening on the call. I'm evaluating them. It is not a done deal. It's not a given that there's somebody that I want to work with, right? So I'm evaluating them, and then I'm going to decide, right, if I want to move forward. And if so, I'm going to extend the invitation to ask if they'd like to work with me, right? And then we're going to figure out the logistics, right? I'm going to recommend something to them, and they're going to either sign on or they're not, right? The reason, right, so people say, but Rita, right, that's always my favorite part. Tiffany, I think you're the only one here with me, girlfriend. I think so, just one, right? Apparently this topic like scares people or something. If you're watching on replay, if you hop back, I would love to know, like, is this a helpful topic for you guys? Like, I really thought for sure sales calls, because I know that people struggle with this, right? I know people struggle with sales calls. But people will say, Rita, right? Like, but how will they know that I am an expert? How will they know that I do have the credentials and that I am somebody with all of the background and all of the skills and all of the experience that like will be the fit? Like, how do they know that I am this expert and that I am credible, right? This is the flip, the perspective flip that I was talking about way back at the beginning of the call when I talked to my coach a while, like so long back, like who said this to me? What if you changed your perspective? What if you just decided that the reason that they're getting on the call with you is because they already know you're valuable? They already know that you're an expert. They already know you're good at what you do. They already know that you as a person are talented and capable and skilled and an expert, right? That's why they scheduled the call with you. That's why they said, I think I might want to work with you. Like, I think I might want this. Let's get on I would love to schedule a call with you, a consultation with you and see, right? That's why they did it, right? Because they already know all of that. So you don't have to prove that on the call. You can just talk about them and their challenges and everything like that, right? To make a recommendation about what they need. Oh, this is the time the sun comes in, guys. This is the time the sun comes in, right? You just need to make a recommend. You don't have to prove that because, right? Because they already know that you're valuable, right? So what happens is like what Tiffany said at the beginning of this training, right? And the beginning of this training, Tiffany's like cold calls, right? Here's the thing with cold calls, or here's the thing with the calls that are going bad where you feel like you have to prove your value and prove your worth, are because these people don't know you. They didn't really enter into a sales call with you. I got to shut the blinds, guys. Hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on. So, right, like, I should know better than that. So like, right, like the reason that they're on the sales call with you is because they already decided you're valuable and you're an expert and you're credible. And that's why they scheduled this call with you. So they're just trying to make sure it's a good fit, that you can actually help with the specific things that they need help with, right? So the calls that are going, like what we'll say bad, right? The calls that feel like tap dancing, the calls that feel like are when people are on the phone with you who don't know you, right? Because they either like it was a cold call and they didn't even know that they were getting into a sales call, right? Or maybe you just met them. Maybe you met them at a networking event that day and talked to them for 5 minutes and they just agreed. Yeah, sure, I'd love to talk to you and see if maybe you'd be a good real estate agent for me. But they don't know anything about you, right? They don't know anything about you. So they get on the call not knowing you, not liking you, not trusting you, not knowing if you're an expert, right? So what you have to do is reframe those calls, right? If people don't know you at all, right? And so you literally just met them and they're like, wow, Tiffany, I'm sitting next to you at this networking event. I've never heard of you before. It's so nice to meet you. Wow, you're a realtor? I'm trying to sell my house. And Tiffany's like, cool, would you like to have a call about that? We can have a call later this afternoon. And I'm like, yeah, cool, that'll be great, right? And then I get on the call. I'm entering that call not knowing if I like you, trust you, or you're credible. So that's probably not going to result in a sale. What I'm really doing on that call is just trying to get to know Tiffany, right? Like I'm just trying to get to know her. So here's where the buyer cycle comes in. And you guys have heard me talk about this before, but there are 5 stages to the buyer cycle, but there are 2 main stages, right? The first main stage is awareness. People have to become aware of you and your business. That's it. They just have to know you exist. After they become aware of you, they move into what's called a consideration phase. And the consideration phase is where they're deciding, like, do I actually like her? Do I know her? Do I feel like I know her? Do I like her? Do I trust her? Do I know she has the solution to my problem? Do I think she's a credible expert? Do I think she's an authority in this? And after they've made that determination, then they're going to decide to work with you, right? And say, yes, great, like I want to work with you. It's very rare that on the very first call after just meeting you a day before or something, that they're going to have all the information they need to say, yes, I trust her, I know she's a credible expert, right? What they're really doing is just kind of like entering that phase. They become aware, and now they're starting it. So they're probably going to say no to working with you on that call because they need more time to build all of that up before they agree to purchase, right? Do you guys get that? Do you get that buyer cycle thing, the awareness and the consideration? Yes, no, maybe so, right? So the calls, right, that kind of go bad, where you feel like this is happening, right, are usually those people who don't know you at all who have gotten on the phone with you. People say, well, what about referrals, right? What about referrals? Referrals tend to take on the level of trust and credibility that the person who referred them to you had. So like if I refer, to use Tiffany as an example, if I refer somebody to Tiffany and that person and I are really good friends, right? Let's see, I saw Susan hop in, I saw Bonnie hop in. So let's say that Bonnie, right, Bonnie and I are BFFs, and Bonnie's like, I need a realtor. And I'll say, hey, Bonnie, like, you should use Tiffany. She's my girl. Like, I trust her like crazy. She sold my house and blah, blah, blah. Bonnie's going to be like, cool, let me work with Tiffany. She's going to inherit my trust in Tiffany and take it on as her own. So when she gets on the phone, even though she's never talked to Tiffany and she doesn't know Tiffany, she is more likely to like actually move forward with Tiffany, right? So you have to realize that, like, here's why, right? Like, that's why the perspective flip works, right? If you go, wait a minute, the reason people are scheduling a call with me in the first place is because they've already decided I'm an expert. They already know that I'm credible in this area, that I'm an authority in this area, that I know what I'm talking about and that I'm good at it. They already know I'm capable, because who knows? They're on my newsletter list and they've been reading my newsletters. They're in my Facebook group and they watch all the content I put out. They saw me speak somewhere and they really loved what I had to say. They follow my Facebook page. They look at me on Instagram. They've been following me on Twitter, right? Like, they went to a workshop I did and had a really positive result, right? Like, this is the way most calls are coming to us, right? Yeah, I mean, this is really the majority of the way that most calls are coming, right? That are a referral, which we just talked about, like the referral takes on the level of trust that the person referring had. So if people are coming to you because they saw you speak, they saw a workshop, they've been watching your Facebook lives, they've been lurking in your Facebook group, they watch your business page, they see things you post in another group, right? They've been considering you. They've been looking that you're valuable and you know what you're talking about and you have good solutions to problems, that they like your personality and they like what they've learned. And so because of that, they're scheduling the call. Right? They're scheduling the call with you. So you don't have to worry about proving your value as a person or your capabilities or your skills or that you're an expert, because they already know that when they get on the call with you. That's why you're able to turn the call over to them. That's why you're able to have them just do the talking. All you're doing is digging in. Tell me about your business. Tell me about whatever. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your whatever. Tell me about your challenges. Tell me about your frustrations. What is it that you're wanting to achieve? What are your goals, right? If you reach those goals, what's the impact in your life? What's the impact in your business, right? What's kept you from these? What's held you back from this before, right? What support do you need to make sure that this time, right, you move forward? Right? And then you're just saying, I hear you, I see you, I understand you. And after hearing all of this, I'm confident that I can do this for you. You're not telling them how to do it. You're not showing them that you know how to do it. You're just saying, I am confident in this. I have helped people with this before. I can help you. This is exactly what I do for people. This is my wheelhouse, like whatever. I know this, like I am so excited. I am ready. I am a good, like you are a good fit for me. I can help you, right? So then you're saying, would you like to work with me? Right? Am I a good fit for you? And that's what you're doing. So the buyer cycle is why you can have that new perspective, okay? And just some like little side notes that I mentioned in this call, like number one, the way you name your consultation could be hurting you. So I said at the beginning, when I started a long time ago, I called these strategy sessions, right? Get on the phone with me for a strategy session, because I thought it sounded uber professional. I thought it sounded super professional. Because remember, Lawyer Rita for a while, right? I was having strategy sessions, right? The problem was people actually really came to the call thinking we were going to come up with a strategy, right? Like, so rightly so. Like, they thought we were going to come up with a strategy, so they were kind of expecting it, right? And when I realized they were expecting it, I felt the obligation to give it, right? I changed it to a clarity call. All we're doing is getting clear on whether we're a good fit for each other, right? Which leads me to another point. How you set up the call, right? The language that you use whenever you're verbally setting up the call or you're emailing them to set up a call, start setting that expectation for what the call is about, right? On this call, I'm going to learn all about you and your challenges and your frustrations and your goals and what it is, the support that you're wanting, so that I can like really determine if I can give you value and if I'm the right fit for you, right? At the end of our call together, we're going to decide if working together is the right next step, right? Which is like, we're going to decide together if working with me is the next step for you. We're going to decide mutually. It's a mutual agreement. Like, I'm not sure I even want you as a client. You don't say that, right? But like, so they feel safe. Like, oh, she's not going to try to sell me. She's also trying to determine if I'm a good fit right? So I can relax and I can open up, right? So there is language around like there are other pieces, but like how you're like setting up the call, right? So how you name the call, the communication to set it up and to confirm it and all of that. And then the actual kind of like language, right? The transition language, and when you get to the sales language and the objections and stuff like that. Those are all things that are like side notes that we're not getting to. But to recap, right? And I see Tiffany says, I find that this is even more true for clients who are challenged to please. Their friends and family know this about them and know that if they recommend me, I must be good, right? So the recap, right, is you haven't stepped into your value. Right? That's why the sales calls feel like a big tap dance and you're so frustrated, and why you're pouring all of this value in and you're solving problems and you're whatever. You haven't stepped into your value. So the way that you step into your value, right, is you have to own it. And to own it, you have to see it. And to see it, you have to like yourself. If you don't like yourself, you're not going to see your value. Right? You have to like yourself. So starting tomorrow, the post that comes up tomorrow, watch for it. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to do to start liking yourself more, or to see, do I even like myself? Maybe I think I do, but maybe I don't like myself as much as I think, right? So look for that post tomorrow. By liking yourself more and more, you will start connecting again with your capabilities, your talents, your skills. You will step into your value. You will own your value. When you own your value, you're gonna like be able to really easily grasp that concept that they already know my value. That's why they scheduled the call with me. I don't have to prove it. I don't have to prove I'm valuable. I know I'm valuable. They know I'm valuable. That's why they scheduled this call. So now we can just focus on them, right? Which means treat the call like a sales call. The call is just to find out, am I a good fit? That means I need to know what they're struggling with. I need to know what they want to achieve. I need to know like what's kept them from achieving this in the past, what they think might hold them up. I need to ask them what kind of support they want, what they're really looking for, so that I can determine if I'm the person who can give it to them. And then I'm going to let them know if I think that I'm the person that can give it to them, if I also think that they're a good fit for me, right? Don't confuse them then with what you recommend, like on how you're going to work together. Make the recommendation as an expert, which again requires you to own your value, and then have that new perspective. Embrace that new perspective. Start thinking it all the time now. They scheduled the call with me because they know I'm an expert. They scheduled the call with me because they know that I'm good at what I do. I no longer have to prove that. In fact, I'm no longer available to prove that on my sales calls. All I'm here for is to see them, hear them, and understand them, and let them know that I did, and then let them know if after seeing them, hearing them, and understanding them, I think I can help them, right? And if I think I can help them, and I think they're a good fit for me, then I'm going to make a recommendation on how we can work together, right? And then I'm going to ask if they want to do that. So that's it, guys. I hope that this was helpful. Right? I hope that you guys found this helpful. It works with products, it works with services. I hope it kind of fundamentally changed the way that you're looking at sales calls. And this is why, again, at the beginning, I said, adding a price to your consultations will not take care of the problem, because the problem wasn't that you weren't just attracting looky-loos, right? You weren't just attracting people that wanted to take free information and run. You were just attracting people that either did not know you well enough to know your value because they haven't seen anything you've done. They got on the phone with you blindly, or they got on the phone with you after meeting you once and they haven't followed you to know your knowledge. So you're getting on the phone with people who are really in the awareness stage and not the consideration stage, and they need to be in the consideration stage, right? So that's either why it's going badly, right? Why it's going kind of like downhill, or, right, the reason is you haven't fully owned your value. And I got distracted because my husband knocked on my door and my dog is barking and all this stuff, right? But so that's the new perspective, right? They already know my value. So the people that are getting on the phone with me where it's not feeling like that is because they don't know my value. So they're not really ready to buy yet, right? They're just getting to know me. This is just the beginning. So I'm going to loop back with them later, right? So hopefully this changed the way you're going to approach calls. You're going to stop doing coaching calls. You're going to stop opening up wounds you can't heal. You're going to stop solving problems. You're going to stop doing all of that. You're going to stop proving your value and proving your worth, and instead you're just going to focus on them. Learn about them, see them, hear them, understand them, verbalize back that you do. Decide if they're a good fit for you. If they're a good fit for you, make a recommendation about the best way to work together based on the information that you heard. ask if they want to move forward with you, right? That's what you're doing. That's what a sales call is. And hopefully that feels good. Hopefully that feels energetic, right? And Tiffany said, and that's a good reason to do this as a call versus a meeting, right? So here's, again, right, yes, because you're not doing the work, like especially you as an agent, you know, you're just seeing, then you go over, after they say, yes, I want to work with you and I'm going to hire you and blah, blah, then you go do the work. Then you go do the walkthrough. And after they've signed the contract, after they whatever, then you go start giving advice and information and all of this stuff, right? Because again, you don't have to prove that through the walkthrough or telling them how to stage their home or what they need to do, right? Because they already know you know it. They were just making sure that you could help with their specific situation. So then they hire you, it's good, then you go over and you start doing the work. Another reason that I don't like in-person kind of stuff, and if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. If you're watching on replay, feel free to ask. I will come back, I will answer questions, right? Is that in-person meetings take forever, guys, and your time is valuable, right? Your time is valuable, and it's a lot easier to stay to your time frame of the sales call time if you're on the phone. It's a lot harder. I mean, think about it. You're going to drive to the location. You're going to have this conversation. Then you're going to drive back home, right? Like you've lost all this time. Plus, you're not going to stick to your actual like time frame in an in-person meeting. It's so hard. It's like you're going to have small talk. You're going to get a sandwich. You're going to drink the coffee. And then you're going to be like, what are you going to do? Oh, hey, it's been 30 minutes. I got to go, right? No, you're going to like stay and linger. And so your time is valuable. And that's something we talked about today. If you didn't read the post today, read the post today. If you are a people pleaser, if you volunteer all the time, if you feel like your calendar is full of everything but your business, read the post from today. Because if you value yourself, you value your time, right? And so that's a big piece. So like if you value your time as a business owner, you will be efficient with it. And you know that efficiency is that I'm going to have video calls or sales calls. They don't have to commute. I don't have to commute. They already know I'm valuable. I don't have to prove it to them. We're just having a determination on if we're a good fit. And then I'm going to make the recommendation. And after they've signed on, after they've hired me, then I'm going to go work with them in person. Then I'm going to go get together with them in person. And I get that for some designers and stuff, they might have to go to the house, right? But not necessarily, right? I know some of my clients do video consultations. I know that some people are like, look, I know you're good. I want you. I don't need you to come over to my house. Like, you're good. I'm in, right? Like, let's work together, right? And even if you go over to their house, right, you might charge a travel fee. That's fine, right? You might charge something like that and then credit it to whatever if they work with you, but you don't have to do the design. And if you do, then definitely like charge for that, right? You're charging for the design, they actually get a work product. And then if they work with you, credit it to the cost of working with you, right? But that's like another whole thing. So anyway, I'm glad this was helpful, Tiffany. Thank you. I hope you guys found this helpful. Check back with me next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about 10 things I learned from Gary Vee. So I was in Vegas, thanks to my sister. It was amazing. I got to meet Gary Vee. He's amazing. And then I got to sit front row center for a keynote that he was giving at my sister's conference as well. And that was amazing. And there was just so much amazing stuff I learned. I can't wait to share it with you. I think it's really going to change like how you approach your business and then what's coming, right? We're talking about like innovation and we're talking about like what's coming, and it's amazing. And it changes the way marketing is going to be happening and where you should be marketing a bunch of stuff. So we're going to be talking about that next week. If you have questions about this, let me know. Big topic, super important topic. I would really love to know personally, did this change something for you? Please let me know. All right, guys, have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.